Hey guys, so if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, then you've already seen an early sneak peek at what I'm making for this week's first attempt. But for those of you who haven't, here's a picture of it. I made this awesome polymer clay pumpkin this week. I just thought it was super cute, and it's something classic for Halloween that's also fun to make at the same time. So let's see how I made this little lovely pumpkin. I basically opened up my orange polymer clay. I cut out a big chunk and then I started to soften it down so that it was easier for me to work with. So once I softened it down, I went ahead and I realized it was too big of a piece, and I took a nice chunk off and then I played around with that extra piece and made sure it was more pliable. Then I turned it into a ball and I flattened it down on both sides just so it could stand up on its own, and I made kind of like a super chubby donut look. Then I took the blunt end of my tool and I made a cross on the top for my little stem later on, and then I made cuts going from each corner of that cross down to the bottom, and then I put one in between. Now obviously I didn't do the bottom because I wanted it to stand on its own. I just did the little sides for my little lines going down. Then I took the blunt end of that tool and I went ahead and I pushed in those lines because pumpkins don't have sharp lines for texturing. Theirs are more blunt and they're bigger because they're more open. So I went ahead and I took that blunt end and I pushed in those lines to make the lines bigger and more blunt, and to make sure that they were also textured a little bit in between to make it appear more like a pumpkin. Now I did play with this for a little bit until I got it the way I liked it. Then I took my nail polish and Q-tip and I cleaned up my creation. Now I did find that nail polish does clean up polymer clay very well. So if you're like me and you just have a horrible memory and you forget to pick up rubbing alcohol, nail polish does work in the same way, and it's something that typically females, or if you live with a female, will always have in the household. So if you run out of your rubbing alcohol, it's a nice little backup option for you. So then I took my green and I made a chubby tube, and then I cut that in half so that I could make the stem, and I blended the stem in just a little bit, just enough so that it would stay in place, but not so that it would be blended too much. And then I've decided to make all my polymer creations this month. If I decide to put a face on it, I decided to make the face out of polymer clay because I wanted to practice more on making polymer clay faces. So I figured, why not? I'll just make October my polymer clay face month. So I made two little dots for the eyeballs, and I put one on each side of one of those little dents just to make it a little bit more realistic, because a pumpkin's going to have a face. They're not going to have this like tiny little face. And then I took a small piece of polymer clay and I rolled it into a thin snake, and I made sure that the ends were a lot thinner and more pointy than the middle, just because I wanted him to have a super long goofy smile. Now when I first put it on, he looks more like he's frowning, but I went ahead and I just turned up the edges, and he ended up with this lopsided, goofy smile that I thought was super cute and just added to the fun and cute factor. So then I went ahead and I cleaned up the little bit, the pieces that I had added, and then I cleaned up my little fingerprints on the side again. So of course I added an eye pin, and then I baked it in the oven at 275 for 15 minutes. So I took my little paperclip creation that I use to hang it while it dries. I put that in there, and I'm holding it with needle nose pliers as I glaze it, just so that my fingers don't get in the way and I don't get more fingerprints on my creation. And then I went ahead and I glazed it. Now once the first layer of glaze was dry, I went ahead and I glazed it a second time because I like that super shiny factor that it gives it. So once I was done with that, my little polymer clay creation was done once it was dry. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. I think it looks super cute. I love the goofy smile, and I think it's just great. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of how my creation turned out, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the goofy smile that I gave this pumpkin. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of my Halloween first attempts this month, as well as my Halloween DIYs. You definitely don't want to miss out on those. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter and like me on Facebook so that you can see all the fun stuff that I'm doing in between my videos. And of course, make sure to have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.